A tennis superstar sat in front of the world's media with red eyes, a broken expression, and one shocking confession. I just want to quit tennis right now. This wasn't a struggling rookie. This wasn't a player fighting to stay relevant. This was Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, a four-time Grand Slam champion, the most dominant force in women's tennis. So how does someone at the very top reach a gear point where quitting suddenly sounds appealing? Was it because of a painful loss? A difficult season? Or was something happening behind the scenes that nobody fully understood at the time? Because while Sabalenka was publicly expressing frustration, another player was quietly becoming one of the most talked about athletes inside Nike's global tennis division. Her name was Alex Eala, and what happened between Nike, Sabalenka, and Eala over the next few months would spark one of the most fascinating sponsorship stories tennis has seen in years. But before we get there, you need to understand one critical detail. In professional sports, rankings determine who wins trophies, but rankings do not always determine who wins the business game, and that's where this story begins. At the end of 2025, Nike made a move that seemed relatively small at first. They invited Alex Eala to their world headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. For most athletes, a sponsor visit is just another corporate event, a few photos, a few meetings, maybe a social media post. Nothing unusual, but this trip was different. Eala wasn't simply visiting. She was collaborating, working directly with Nike's design team, sharing ideas, discussing concepts, helping create something uniquely connected to her identity. The result was a special collection, inspired by the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. The project wasn't just about clothing. It was about culture, representation, and community. When Eala shared moments from the trip online, many tennis fans viewed it as a nice promotional opportunity, a feel-good story, a young player being recognized by a major brand. But looking back now, it may have been something much bigger, because while Nike was investing time and resources into building a custom project around Eala, the world number one was expressing concerns about not receiving similar treatment, and eventually those two storylines collided. Publicly. Months later, Sabalenka appeared in a promotional interview discussing her relationship with Nike. What she said immediately caught the attention of fans. She explained that she had pushed ideas to Nike regarding her outfits. She wanted something unique, something personal, something special. Then came the comment that many people couldn't stop talking about. Maybe fans should send messages to Nike. Maybe they should put pressure on them. Some laughed. Some thought she was joking. Others sensed genuine frustration because beneath the smile was a message that sounded surprisingly direct. The world number one wanted more influence over her own brand image, and she wasn't entirely happy with what she was receiving. That frustration would become much more visible in 2026. When Roland Garros arrived in Paris, Sabalenka entered the tournament as one of the biggest favorites. Everything seemed normal until fans noticed something unexpected. Another player appeared, wearing an outfit that looked remarkably similar to the one being promoted as Sabalenka's signature Roland Garros. Look, same colors, same design, same overall appearance. Social media immediately exploded. Tennis fans began asking questions. Why wasn't the world number one receiving exclusive treatment? Why was a supposedly special outfit already appearing elsewhere? Why did it feel like Sabalenka's branding wasn't being protected? The discussion spread rapidly across tennis communities, and whether those concerns were entirely fair or not, the perception was becoming a problem, because perception matters, especially when you're trying to market one of the biggest stars in the sport. At exactly the same time, Alex Eala was experiencing a completely different reality. She arrived in Paris wearing a bright pink Nike outfit that quickly became a sensation among fans. Photos spread everywhere. Fan accounts reposted them. Comments flooded social media. The reaction was immediate. People loved the look, but more importantly, people loved what it represented. Young Filipina star gaining global attention, and then came the moment that truly changed the conversation. The Sampaguita-inspired collection launched. What happened next surprised even experienced observers. The collection, reportedly sold out incredibly quickly, fans rushed to buy it, collectors searched for remaining stock, resellers entered the picture almost immediately. Suddenly, Eala's merchandise wasn't simply apparel, it had become a statement, and Nike was paying attention. Because brands monitor many things: match results, engagement, audience, growth, market expansion. But one metric often speaks louder than all the others is when products disappear almost instantly. Executives notice. When demand exceeds supply, executives notice. When an athlete creates excitement beyond the court, executives definitely notice. And that's where this story becomes much bigger than tennis. Because Nike wasn't just evaluating who won matches. They were evaluating who could help grow the future of the brand. And in Southeast Asia, Alex Eala represented something extremely valuable: a rapidly growing market, a passionate fan base, a new generation of consumers, a story people wanted to support. While rankings showed Sabalenka at number 1, the business landscape was becoming far more complicated. The question was no longer who was the better tennis player. That answer was obvious. The question was becoming something else entirely: who represented the bigger opportunity for Nike's future? And as Roland Garros continued, the gap between the two narratives became impossible to ignore. One athlete was publicly discussing frustrations. The other was becoming one of the most talked about young stars in the sport. Then came June, and everything changed. But before you decide who was right and who was wrong in this story, there's one final detail you need to think about. Because the real battle here was never Alex Eala versus Arena Sabalenka, it was never Philippines versus Belarus. And it was never even about a pink tennis outfit. The real battle was about value. What does a global sports brand value more? The player who is winning today? Or the player they believe can dominate tomorrow? Think about it. Aryna Sabalenka already proved herself. She's a Grand Slam champion, a world number 1, one of the most feared competitors in women's tennis. She earned everything on the court. But Nike isn't only looking at scoreboards, they're looking at markets, they're looking at fan engagement, they're looking at future growth, and most importantly, they're looking at where the next generation of customers is coming from. That's why Alex Eala's rise matters so much. Because every time she steps on a court, she isn't just representing herself. She's representing millions of Filipino fans. Millions of Southeast Asian sports fans. An entire audience that global brands have been trying to reach for years. And whether people like it or not, that's powerful. Very powerful. Now look back at everything that happened. A custom collection inspired by Filipino culture. A visit to Nike headquarters. A sold-out release. Massive social media engagement. Growing. International attention. Those aren't random events. Those are signals. Signals that one of the world's biggest sports companies sees something special, something worth investing in, something worth building around. And maybe that's why this story became so emotional for tennis fans. Because, for the first time, people started asking a question nobody expected. Is being world number 1 enough anymore? Or has modern sports become a game where influence, culture, and marketability carry just as much weight as trophies? That's a difficult question. And over the next few months, we're going to get our answer. Because Wimbledon is coming. New sponsorship decisions are coming. Contract negotiations are coming. And every move Nike makes will be watched more closely than ever before. One custom outfit. One marketing campaign. One contract announcement. Any of those moments could completely change the direction of this story. And here's the craziest part. Alex Eala is only getting started. She's still one of the youngest rising stars on tour. Her biggest achievements may still be ahead of her. if her popularity continues growing at this pace, the conversation we're having today could look completely different a year from now. Meanwhile, Sabalenka faces a challenge of her own, not proving she's a champion. Everyone already knows she is. The challenge is proving that her commercial value should match her status as the best player in the world, and that's where this story becomes truly fascinating, because tennis history is full of champions, but only a few become global brands. Only a few become movements. Only a few become the face of an entire generation. The question now is simple. When we look back 5 years from today, will this be remembered as the moment Nike officially chose its future? Or will it be remembered as the moment Aryna Sabalenka reminded the world why champions should never be underestimated? We're about to find out, and trust me, the next chapter of this story could be even bigger than the last one. So now it's your turn. If you were sitting in Nike's boardroom right now and could only build around one player for the next 5 years, who would you choose? Aryna Sabalenka? Or Alex Eala? Comment your answer below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden business side of tennis, make sure you subscribe. Because the moment the next sponsorship update drops, you'll hear about it right here first.